Hi, my name is Erika Putnam, and I will be presenting on my paper, as is thus far, for Dr. Barr's French Revolution course. So just briefly, I sort of cycled through a number of topic ideas before picking my current one. I started off with just wanting to examine the excessive violence of the Revolution, and then move forward to looking at the French Revolution in historical fiction throughout the years. And then in consultation with Dr. Barr, I narrowed it down to examining how the Reign of Terror has been portrayed in historical fiction throughout the last 165 years or so. So within this topic, I've been focusing on two main research questions. How have historical fiction novels on the Reign of Terror evolved over time, and how do these novels reflect the changes in perspective on this important yet misunderstood period of history? And number two, do works of historical fiction on this subject successfully transmit accurate information to be consumed by the public, or is the medium of fiction inappropriate for understanding historical events? And to answer these questions, I selected three novels that directly concern the Reign of Terror: A Tale of Two Cities, written by Charles Dickens in 1859, The Scarlet Pimpernel, written in 1905 by Baroness Orczy, and A Place of Greater Safety, written in 1992 by Hilary Mantel. So now my thesis is essentially, this paper will demonstrate that, while not always historically accurate, works of historical fiction written since the late 20th century have generally become more focused on accuracy than drama, reflecting an emphasis on the revision ideas on French Revolution history. This paper will also defend the medium of fiction as a valuable tool for historians and the general public alike, while still addressing some of the potential inadequacies that works of historical fiction perpetuate, such as inaccuracies or the overly sensationalized nature of some events. So I begin my paper with an acknowledgement of the existing scholarship on the subject, and unfortunately what I've found is that there seems to be a lack of scholarship on this specific subject concerning the evolution of historical fiction on the French Revolution in general, let alone on the Terror. So I have had some difficulty with that, but I have found plenty of sources on the history of the Terror, and a variety of sources on the relationship between fiction and history, which has always been close but problematic. So then I move on to a brief historiography of the French Revolution as set out by William Doyle, who is one of the preeminent historians of the subject area. And according to him, there are three ways in which historians have written about this subject: the classical interpretation, revisionism, and post-revisionism. And he defines the classical interpretation as the idea that the rise of the bourgeoisie was the fundamental cause of the revolution, but this idea was challenged in later years by historians who viewed the revolution through the lens of revisionism. These scholars, like Alfred Colban, a professor specializing in French history, claimed that the revolution was not the working of a rising bourgeoisie at all, but rather of a declining one. And Doyle then ends his historiographical analysis by acknowledging post-revisionism, which includes the consideration of ideological purpose in the scholarship of the revolution. And as the complexity of the analysis of the revolution has grown, so too has the complexity of historical fiction on the subject. So I began with my first primary source, Tale of Two Cities. It's difficult to summarize the novel succinctly because there's a lot going on, but as the title implies, the novel is set in two cities, London and Paris. It follows several characters across these locations, though perhaps the most important part of the novel focuses on Charles Darnay and Sidney Carton. And through a complicated series of events, Darnay finds himself imprisoned in Paris and facing execution during the Terror. The other character, Carton, is characterized as kind of a disreputable lawyer, but nevertheless by the end, he nobly takes Darnay's place at the guillotine, with Dickens describing him as looking sublime and prophetic before his death. And so this kind of shows that rather than focusing on historical accuracy, he uses drama to convey the events of the Terror. And his assessment of the causes of the Terror are kind of simple, with more of an emphasis placed on description rather than analysis. And I have this example from a scene during the novel, which a wine cask breaks in the street of Paris, that I thought did a really good job of describing this. And this is a written analysis by Professor of Comparative Literature Robert Alter. So, quote, "Some of the most compelling scenes in the scenic novel are at once allegorical tableau and solemn sacraments of the Revolution. The wine cask smashed outside the Defarge shop provides the opportunity for a sort of red mass in which the wine, tasted by all the people, smeared on their lips and faces, becomes blood. There is pointedly no bread of life, no body of Christ, for the hungry in this mass, and for that very reason the blood is solely a portent of destruction, not a promise of redemption. Much later, the ambiguity of wine and blood is recalled in another revolutionary rite, the horrendous thronging of the people to the grindstone to sharpen their blood-stained weapons, to renew themselves and their instruments for the holy purpose of slaughter," end quote. So while the imagery of a crowd feasting on metaphorical blood is probably over-sensationalized, he does provide the audience with the sense of like the fervor with which the most gruesome acts of the revolution were carried out. And in this manner, a general reader can begin to understand the emotions behind the Reign of Terror while also having sensationalized entertainment, while historians can appreciate the figurative language as a subtle nod to historical fact. My next source is probably less useful than the first one. The Scarlet Pimpernel was initially conceived as a stage play by Baroness Orczy and then adapted as a novel. And the titular character is a masked hero who takes it upon himself to save Paris's aristocracy from the threat of the guillotine. This hero is actually an English aristocrat in disguise and is meant to be a representation of the ideals of aristocracy and English imperialism as imagined by Orczy, which clearly influenced her work on the Terror and her opinions of the aristocracy and the lower classes. And she uses the novel to glorify the aristocratic classes of both France and England. And in direct contrast to the novel's treatment of the upper class, the book is used to dehumanize the peasantry. I wanted to use this quote. She describes the revolutionaries: "A surging, seething, murmuring crowd of beings that are human only in name, for to the eye and ear they seem naught but savage creatures animated by vile passions and by the lust of vengeance and hate." So it's clear from this language that she's attempting to stir strong emotions from the reader, rather than attempt to provoke thought about the complexities of the revolution. And clearly at the beginning of the 20th century, since this was written in 1905, authors were still not overly concerned with accuracy, and an emphasis on captivating the audience with drama was still prevalent. And it's also interesting to note that these two novels seem to focus more on punitive action against privilege, so against the aristocracy, but this is sensationalized and not necessarily accurate, because it's more likely that the revolutionaries were concerned about taking action against disloyalty. So my third primary source, written in 1992, is Hilary Mantel's novel, A Place of Greater Safety, and this kind of showcases the advent of a change in writing style and content, which is namely the emphasis on historical accuracy. So she focuses on the lives of Georges Danton, Camille Desmoulins, and Maximilien Robespierre, and she primarily focuses on the life of Desmoulins, beginning with childhood and ending in death, and his relationships with Danton and Robespierre, and as they change over time with Robespierre's growing radicalism and the other two's alienation from him. So rather than the dramatization of the violence as perpetuated by the previous two authors, she handles the subject with clear dedication to historical accuracy. And while it is very accurate, she does take artistic liberties. For example, she describes this interaction between Desmoulins and his father as a small child, which I thought was well crafted. So, quote, "His father crosses the room and scoops him up, prying his fingers away from the window frame to which he clings. His eyes widen in astonishment at being carried off by the superior strength. Everything astonishes him." And by adding this detail to her work, because obviously we don't know how they interacted, but she's able to weave fiction and history together to create a narrative. And she does not add anything that is designed to detract from the facts of the revolution, but she engages with the reader by making the novel more entertaining than a history textbook might be. And this is especially valuable, I think, to a general audience who might not be particularly entertained by dry historical writing. And in this way, A Place of Greater Safety is accessible to the general public and historians alike, and is probably the best combination of fiction and history. So in conclusion, through the examination of the first two novels, it is clear that the Reign of Terror has been consistently sensationalized throughout history until recent years, when authors like Hilary Mantel have written novels like A Place of Greater Safety that incorporate more historical fact into their work and focus more on real historical actors. And this new emphasis on accuracy in historical fiction reflects the evolution of historiography of the French Revolution as a whole, and how historians have built on previous work to further explore the complexities of this major event. While the appropriateness of fiction to examine history has been debated, works of historical fiction can still provide a valuable perspective for historians who wish to gain a greater understanding of their subject of interest, and sometimes a source of education and entertainment for the general public.